the variants of topics that we have for Kickstarts connects two ends, okay? Now, one of those ends speaks to what the biggest conversation in our world today is, which is AI, right? Everybody's talking AI. But you and I clearly know that everything will never be AI driven. Do you understand? Self-motivation will never be AI driven. Personal development will never be AI driven. Self-leadership will never be AI driven. Do you understand me? Being responsible for self and for community will never be AI driven. Goal setting will never be AI driven. Do you understand? So, in as much as there is this big buzz about AI and technology is not the answer, it is just a tool. Just like your car is a tool. Do you understand? Your car is a tool. Even though tomorrow we are going to have self-driving cars, it doesn't mean your car will cook for you. Doesn't mean your car will bathe you. Doesn't mean your car will take or read for you to pass an exam. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there are aspects of this future that we are talking about that will definitely not be AI centered. All right? So that's the reason why the very first segment of this will touch on that. Why? Because you need to understand that there is a part for you to play before you enable technology to help you drive the kind of productivity you are anticipating. Okay? So on that note, I want to introduce our very first speaker. She's none other but one time, 2 years ago, she was Miss World SA. Am I correct? We knew her as Claude Mashgo, but she's now been picked and paid for. She's now married, and we're going to welcome none other but Dr. Claude Mashgo. Can we put our hands together?
Hi guys.
Hi.
How are you?
Alright, and you?
I am alright. So, disclaimer. Now I'm a Gen Z, so I have a little bit of Gen Z tendencies and energy. So I would really appreciate if you guys can just try to come at least closer to Gen Z-ness. Oh, you can't see?
Yeah, sorry. Be mindful of that light. That's your lens.
That's my light. Okay. I have a special interest in anything and everything that has to do with leadership. Okay? And the reason for that is about 7 years ago now, I realized that, there were so many things that were going wrong in our country and then eventually led into COVID and everything. Something that I observed was that we can be smart, we can have all the scientists on board. I mean, take COVID-19 as a case study. We can have all the scientists, all the educated people, give their professional opinion or their expert opinion. But guess what? It all comes down to implementation. And who implements? Our government, our leaders, right? And that made me think, okay, if there is so much weight that is put on leadership, why is leadership not a skill that is taught from a young age? Then I started reflecting on, okay, what does leadership look like in our settings, especially, South Africa is predominantly, we have rural areas, townships and all of that. What is the mindset around leadership in these spaces? Because these are the future leaders. If you go to a high school in Social Ngube, what do they think about leadership? What kind of person do they think is a leader? Practical example is when you think about who is elected to be a class rep, right? Maybe in the Model C schools, it might be a little bit different where they look at character, where they look at certain things. But where I schooled, that was not the case. If you were considered to be one of the top achieving learners, whether you were considered to be A students, you were always told, these SRC things are going to waste your time. Sit down, let the loud ones do it. And that was a problem, because that happened to me. In grade 12, I tried to run to be president of SRC in my school, and I got shut down because they felt it would disturb my top achiever status. So rather, let's give you a smaller Yana portfolio and have somebody else run for president. I got, chairperson of academics. But anyway, I still proposed my way into running. But what I'm trying to say is that there is a clear misconception in majority of Black, especially South Africans, when it comes to leadership. And it doesn't start when someone is at the top. It starts from the grassroots, the foundations we have around the subjects of leadership. That becomes a problem. Because then you ask professionals, people who are educated. So I work in the health space. You'll see nurses and sisters, people who are well qualified, who know what needs to be done. They're sitting and complaining about things that are not being done. You ask them, why don't you apply for management? Oh no, those are things that take our time. Oh, there's too much politics, this, that. But you realize that because the mindset was shaped from the grassroots, by the time you get to be a professional with your PhD, with everything, that thing doesn't change because it's engraved in you. So what do we need to do? We need to change it from the bottom. And that is why we are preparing Africa's next generation for the AI economy through leadership and systems approach. Okay, that is why we need to go back into those and